Hey guys, it's Matt again. Have you ever had a customer of yours that was just, you felt like it was just on the cusp of making the sale, of doing the agreement, but you just couldn't quite figure out why they're not taking that last step? Well, I'm going to give you the cure to that today, and it was one of my favorite things I learned when I went into the pickup community, and it was something that I had never learned before. I definitely didn't learn in sales, but boy, did I never learned it when it came to in the pickup, to girls as well. And it's basically, it goes back to a big concept that we talked about in a lot of the lessons that I do, and it has to be, it's this power dynamic. It's who's giving the power to who has a stronger frame, who has the weaker frame, and and kind of really, dictating who's kind of going to direct the encounter. And that's actually what we're going to talk about today. So when I was in sales for a long time, I would get somebody who was really interested, and I would always ask them questions. I would be like, so do you think this is, do you like this? Do you see the value in this? Would you, could you imagine yourself in this? And realistically, guys, I didn't make that up. I mean, these are things that my trainer always told me to do. There's a point, even in my first sales job, where they basically taught me this concept that they called layering. And I know it probably has different names in different industries, but it was one where you're consistently asking them questions that you want them a yes to. I mean, in a sense, you start off with very innocuous questions. You ask them a question and another question, and they're saying yes and yes. And down the line, when you ask them for the sale, they're basically, saying yes. And you're thinking, okay, well, they're just so used to saying yes, it's harder to say no. But there's a problem with that, guys, and I think everybody here can say it, so let's just say it in unison. It's manipulative. Again, this is something that if somebody was doing to your sister or brother or mother or spouse, you're just not going to let them do it. I mean, you're just going to get in there and you're not going to let them do that because it's manipulative and abusive. But yet we're supposed to do that with total strangers that are inherently skeptical of our intentions, who are usually right about their skepticism, and understand that we're kind of out for that thing. Well, at least most people are. And so you get to a point where you get somebody interested and you're always asking them questions. Does this make sense? Does this sound good? But what most people don't realize is you're literally just, every time you ask one of these questions, what you're really doing is you're asking for reassurance. You're asking for assurance that what they're doing is valuable. In other words, they're kind of temp checks, but you're asking for assurance. And it's equivalent to the absolutely wussy, needy guy, talking to a girl saying, would you like to go out with me? Would you like to do this? Can I call you? And you can just, if you ever see this, just look at the girl's face and she just wants to throw up, because this guy has absolutely no backbone, and he's literally surrendering his entire, all of his power and all, every dynamic of him to her so that she can validate him by giving him her approval, which no girl of any value in the world wants that. And yet people do that in the sales all the time. They're always asking, can I see this? Does it make sense? Can we meet at this time? They're asking all these questions where you're literally just handing over all of your power and leverage to these customers for the sake of a buck, but even more so for the sake of feeling reassured that you're okay in their eyes. And guys, I'm just going to say it point blank. That is a bunch of garbage. You don't need to do that. If you're doing that, and worse, if you've been trained to do that, you need to stop doing that today. I mean, literally, you need to have your pen and paper out right now and write in big capital letters, stop asking questions like this, and don't do it again. and it just needs to stop, because what you're doing is you're basically you're handing the reins of the entire encounter to your prospect, but what you're also doing is you're completely diminishing your value. Now, in one of the other lessons that we taught, I talked about DHV, which is a display of higher value. And those are something that really gets people ramped up, gets the attraction, tension ramped up and spiked. But the opposite of that is a term called DLV, and it's a display of lower value. And that is exactly what this is. It literally just tells the other person that you're not sure of yourself, that you're not willing to dictate the terms on which you work, and that you're going to bend over backwards like a yoga teacher, basically, to make sure that you're going to do everything possible to design the perfect setup for them to buy. but that absolutely strips them of respect for you. And the thing about that, guys, is that nobody with a tremendously high social value ever does this. I mean, there's no way you're going to go up to Donald Trump and have him go, well, you know, Matt, is it okay if, you know, we meet at this time? No, he's not going to do that. Absolutely not. LeBron's not going to do that. Michael Jordan's not going to do that. President Barack Obama's not going to do that. Nobody with a high social value will do that. You're meeting on their terms, or you get out. You know, and that's it. And if you don't want to do that, deuces, get out of here. And there's a line at like the butcher counter. There's a line, you know, of people behind you that are willing to do things on their terms. Now, you're probably asking, well, I don't exactly have that huge line of people that are doing that. I mean, that's the reason I'm watching the video, is I'm having that problem. But I get that. But you have to have that particular mindset. In other words, it's not something where you say, okay, when I'm super successful, I'm going to have that mindset. But it's the exact opposite. You need to have that mindset now. You need to have that mindset now. And what happens is the results and the results you have in your life will attract out that way, because people are going to pick up on that, and they're going to go, wow, this guy, you know, he's completely unlike every other salesperson out there, which, by the way, is a massive DHV, and it spikes their curiosity. This guy is totally different than everybody else, and he's risking, you know, he's not giving me all the power like all these other needy, wussy people out there do. He's actually kind of dictating the terms. And like every single woman out there, when a high-value man, you know, really takes charge, that is really attractive. Well, it's the same thing for those prospects. When you have that absolutely confident, completely self-assured, strong inner game, and you're basically you're telling them what to do. You're not asking them, you're telling them what to do. It creates tremendous authority and credibility. So if you get to a point where you're meeting with somebody, and really the last step on it is inking the contract, as one of my old teachers used to say, you don't ask him, ink it. That's what he used to say. 2 words, ink it, sign it, and you don't question it. In the pickup community, it was the same thing. If there was a girl you're talking to, we never ask him for her number. We tell her to write it down. So it's not, can I have your number? I'd like to take you out. No, 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 no. It's write your number down. And usually they're going to give you some type of, you know, some type of test to see, you know, whether or not you truly believe in yourself the way you do. And the response is a stronger version of it. So it's like, write your number down. And she's like, well, blah, blah, blah. Write your number down. And usually they look up and down at you, and then they write it down. It's as simple as that, guys. When you have somebody who is ready to sign, and at that last stage, ink it. Don't ask any questions. This is your reality. When people are at this stage with you, they sign up with you, period. There is no room for wiggle room. And what happens is you project a tremendously confident projection toward them, and that reinforces that they absolutely want to buy from you, because they know that you're the expert. And this goes through all the attraction switches we talked about authority and social proof and reciprocity. You mix all these things together, and you take that stand and just say, ink it. They're going to read that, see your confidence. It's a massive DHV, and they're going to absolutely have no problem signing it. And the retention of that customer is not going to be a problem, because they know that you're the one in charge, you're the one with this tremendous expertise, and you're the alpha in the situation, and they will follow you. So, hope you enjoyed it, and I know you enjoyed it actually. I'll see you next time.